Oh boy. Disclaimer, for those of you who have not seen The Joker, you might not want to watch this unless you're planning on never seeing it, if you're not into it, or you just don't care about spoilers, because I can't do this without spoilers, okay? That's my disclaimer. I saw this movie last night. It was way too late for me to review it last night, but I need to do it like right now because it's Joker. First of all, Joaquin Phoenix, I think that's how you say his first name. Yeah. You created a Joker who scared the living shit out of me. I went into this movie knowing that it was more of like a character building thing and that there wasn't like a ton of action the whole time, and obviously it's not circulated around the Batman story, it's Joker's story. And I had mixed feelings about that at first, because I was like, well, okay, how good of a story are they going to tell about this guy? Is it going to be believable when he goes from however he is at the beginning, I'm sure not completely psychotic, to the Joker, who, you know, is a little bit nuts? And they did it perfectly. Like literally, they took this guy who you felt bad for and you knew that had some problems, and they just added a little bit more craziness throughout the entire story until the very end, where you still see the guy that you saw at the beginning that you felt bad for and that you almost want to help, even though you know where he's ending up. And at the end, it's the crazy Joker doing all these things, and you're like, what happened? That's how well they tell the story. It's so subtle, each little thing that happens, that by the end, you're like, how did we get here? Like, this is the character that I felt bad for, that I love, and now he's killing half the people in the movie, and you still kind of want to like him. It fucked with my mind in that way so bad. Joaquin Phoenix took on this role, and I think he literally became the Joker for this role. It's so perfect in every way that he plays the character. He has the perfect amount of insanity the whole time, which in this story is of course caused by mental illness. He has this condition where he laughs uncontrollably whenever he's in like uncomfortable situations, which is perfect for this character. One of my favorite scenes is when they're in the club, the comedy club, and he's like taking notes, and this guy's telling jokes and everyone laughs, and then like a second after they stop laughing and the guy's like telling his next joke, the Joker, or Arthur, just like bursts out in laughter for like 5 seconds by himself. Like, that is one of the most powerful things to build his character and show you that like he has these like serious problems that he can't control. But then you see at the same time so many like, I don't want to call it like normal, but like innocent and like even compassionate things, like him taking care of his mother, even though she turns out being abusive, at least when he was a kid. Before we know that, you see him taking care of his mother and like really caring for her and loving her, and he's like bathing her and like giving her food and like all these things, and it's like, that's the kind of thing that, I don't know the director's name, insert the director's name right there because I'm sorry, but I feel like that's the kind of thing that the director put in there to build his character in a good way to where you feel for him the whole time, and that creates a sense of, you don't know how to think about yourself, and like you feel kind of dirty when you get this connection with him because of all these things that he's doing good and the condition that he has, and then it turns into him becoming pretty much a mass murderer, but you still have that level of connection with him, so you kind of want to make excuses to why all of the things are right. In a way, he kind of justifies all of them. Like the kids on the train, they were obviously not good people, and they were looked down upon by the majority of the lower class in Gotham, and a lot of people saw it as sort of this like high praise thing, even though it's like a gruesome murder, and you kind of want to look away while it's happening. But then at the end of the scene, you're like kind of happy that he did that, and you just feel gross. Like, I felt gross for every time that he killed someone in this movie, but it like kind of was justified. The one that I couldn't stand was when he killed the guy that he worked with, and I know that that guy did him wrong and that he pretty much lost him his job and got him in a ton of trouble, but that scene, at least the first half of that scene where he kills him, I like couldn't watch it. It was they don't hold back here. Let's just say this. DC made a movie that is rated RR. Like we saw Deadpool and that was bad, and that was bad for a lot of reasons besides the violence, but this movie took the violence and elevated it to a point where it's unwatchable to a lot of people. There was something about that one scene that like, and then we're not even changing scenes here, and then the second half of that scene is the little guy who is a good guy. He's like, hey, you can go, and like shows him to the door. He's like, I'm not gonna hurt you. And then the guy gets to the door and he can't reach the latch that you saw Joker, or Arthur, I keep saying, I'm just gonna call him Joker, I don't want to call him Arthur. But you saw him latch that when the two guys came in, and you know that they were probably gonna die because he had the scissors in his back pocket. But he lets him go and he can't reach the door, and at that moment, all I could think was, if he kills this guy right here, then like I'm out, like I'm not with it at all. And I bet the whole theater was just tense with like, this can't happen, like no way. He's like, Arthur, I can't reach the door, like latch. And Arthur just kind of goes over to it and he unlatches the door, and this was the last second where I was like, he could kill him right here, and then I would be completely out and I would not like this movie anymore. That would be it for me. And he just goes, you were always nice to me, and he kisses him on the head, and then he sets him on his way. It's crazy because as a viewer of the movie, that makes you like him, because he let the guy who treated him fairly and always treated him nice, he was like, you were always nice to me, and he lets him go. And that makes you respect his like morals, even though he killed this other guy that probably didn't deserve to die. He lets the one good guy go and you feel for him. This movie messed with my head so much, man. I don't want to say that I agree with people in saying that it's a dangerous movie. I understand why people are saying that, and I think after seeing it, I can say that that's somewhat confirmed, because it portrays his character in these killings in a way that you understand like why he's doing it and how it all makes sense, at least in his head. Obviously, the majority of people wouldn't go around murdering everyone that wronged them, but since they build this connection with you and him, it's like when he kills the people that did him wrong, you're like, yeah, they deserved it. Oh God. But however, the one murder that would ruin it all for me is if he killed the girl that he had been like seeing. Now I know that he wasn't actually hanging out with her. So basically, there's this girl that lives down the hall that he has like kind of like a crush on, and throughout the movie it's kind of them like almost building a relationship, and it shows her like in a way understanding him and like getting him, and they have this connection. And towards one of the last scenes, at least the last scene with her in it, it's him going into her apartment and her coming out of her room having like no idea who's in the room. And at first you're like, does she just not recognize him, or like, why is this happening? And she says, is your name Arthur? And then it clicks to you that he was never hanging out with her like the entire movie, and it was all just in his head. And that just throws you for a whirlwind. And then it looks as if he's gonna kill her, and then it just transitions to he's in his room doing his crazy laugh, and there's like an ambulance going by on the street, and you never know if she died or not. I personally think that they did this on purpose to kind of divide people into, okay, if you believe that he killed her, then you know he's sort of just a mass murderer with no morals, because she never wronged him, she never did anything bad to him. But if you believe that he didn't kill her and that was just kind of portrayed to look like it, but he didn't, then it justifies him kind of only going after the people who wronged him, and that in a way makes his story more reliable. Jesus, can you shut up? But that in a way makes his story more reliable, because if he killed her, then I don't think you can have much sympathy for him at that point, because she didn't do anything to him. So I think if he killed her, then his character and my relationship with his character is kind of just done. He strangled his mom to death, and that was kind of crazy. But I mean, honestly, I feel like she kind of had it coming, and it kind of showed that. But I'm sorry, Penny. What are you gonna do? You were probably gonna die anyway. I'm sorry. Jesus, can people shut up? And then we have the last scene. Oh my god. He puts on the full makeup and suit, and this is, in my opinion, the best Joker that we could see. Like, look at this guy. Come on. Like, that costume and that makeup is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And you know that when he puts it on, it's gonna be like the grand finale, something crazy is gonna happen. And he goes on, I don't even know what his name is. He goes on the guy's talk show. So he always loved this guy's talk show, but the guy wronged him, and you knew that he wronged him because he put on his show the clip of Arthur at the comedy club royally kind of screwing up and getting laughed at. Pretty much all of Gotham, so we can say, was watching that and is laughing at him. So he's in the hospital with his mom when he sees this, and he knows that that's pretty much it for this guy. So he goes on the show, and the best line in the entire movie happens right before he goes on air, and they give it away in the goddamn trailer. And he says, "When I come out, can you introduce me as Joker?"
When you bring me out, can you introduce me as Joker?
I don't know if that's the exact quote, but it's something like that. And that line is where you realize that, like, this is real, and like some shit's gonna go down. I feel like I'm just telling the story, but I just want to talk about it, and it was fantastic. So he brings him out, and you know that he's gonna kill this talk show host because he wronged him, and he's pretty much the last person on the list of people who wronged him that he needs to shoot. So you know he has his gun, you know he's gonna shoot this guy, but they play it perfectly, because you know in the past that he had talked shit, and you know that he had already wronged him. You know he already, in the Joker's head, deserved to die. Do with that as you will. But he comes on, and the guy asks him to tell a joke on the air. And he pulls out his little journal of jokes. And they already start laughing at him. He was like, okay, and he flips through for a bunch. And he goes, okay, knock knock. And the talk show host is like, you had to pull out a journal to find that one? And that's when you know. That made it so much better, because he wronged him one more time before he got to die. I don't know the exact quotes, but basically he says some shit, he shoots him in the head on TV. It was pretty gross, but it was powerful, and then the shit just kind of goes down from there. I'm not gonna spoil the ending if you haven't seen it, and you for some reason watch this even though you're still gonna see it, but I told you not to. But I'm not gonna give away the ending to anyone. I'm gonna give away a little bit of the end. Bruce Wayne's parents die in this movie towards the end when all the anarchy is happening. It already happened, like in Batman Begins, so I don't know why you care. Like, if you haven't watched that movie, I'm guessing you're not gonna really care about the Joker. So, but I think they did that in a good way. I thought if they did it again in this movie, his parents dying, then they were gonna kind of mess it up, but it stayed pretty true to what happened in Batman, so I'll take it. I think Bruce Wayne was a cute kid in this movie, so good job, Bruce. My friend asked if it was gonna give her nightmares, and I said no, it's not scary, it's just disturbing in a very beautiful way. And that's the only way I can really put this movie. If you have a very, what do you call it? If you have a very queasy stomach, then you might want to look away for certain parts of this movie where you know shit's about to go down, because when it goes down, it goes down. They used a lot of blood in this movie, but it was effective, it was great. I've never done a movie review before, so I'm hoping this was okay. I just wanted to talk about it and get my thoughts out there. Is there anything else I need to talk about? I don't know. I just wanted to say how great this movie was. I don't watch a lot of movies like this. I'm more into like scary movies or like kind of like adventure movies, like Harry Potter and like whatever like that. But this movie was badass. It built his character. It was one of the best character building movies that I've ever seen in my life. You bought it the whole time. He literally was the Joker the whole time. Like he became that character. So to Mr. Phoenix, good job. Thank you for your performance. It was terrifying and amazing at the same time. And yeah, I hope you guys like the new Halloween lights. They are orange. My mom said she couldn't tell on FaceTime, so I guess. But yeah, it's getting spooky up in here. Yeah, I haven't filmed a video since being in college for my junior year, so I guess this is the first one. And thank you for watching. Share the love, and good night.